Hey y'all, welcome back to our channel. We are Derek and Mike, the road trotting guys, and today we are on special assignment. And by assignment, I literally mean assignment, because we were reached out to by some students in Denmark who needed our help.
Yeah, so we got a message, and what it says is, "Hi Derek and Mike, my friends and I are doing a project about new people in Denmark in our project week in school. We really want to ask you some questions about how it was or is to be new in Denmark, how it was. Many hugs, Elena, Ida, Clara, and Magetta."
Yeah, so thank you guys for reaching out to us. I think it's super cool that you asked us for your help. They are ninth grade students, and they're doing a project called The World Around Us, and they decided to do their project on being new in Denmark. So they asked us a series of questions that we're going to answer now, and we'll share that answer with you guys, and hopefully they'll do well in their project.
All right, you done with the assignment?
I'm done.
Okay, let's start with the first question. So the first question was, how were you received when you came to Denmark? And I think one of the big things here is that when we first came here, we were a bit of a novelty. I mean, I remember many people asking us, "Oh, what are you doing in Denmark? Why are you here?" And honestly, for us, it was a novelty too. It was brand new for us, and suddenly we're here, and it was all just kind of exciting and different. And so generally people were very polite, they were very receptive, they were very interested, especially because we came over in early 2017, right after Trump won the election in the US. So there were a lot of questions. So in general, honestly, the feeling I got was more curiosity than anything else.
Yeah, I think that question of like, what are you doing in Denmark? Why are you in Denmark? We talked about it on our channel before, but it was always one that took me off guard at first, and I would always kind of feel insulted almost. I was like, how am I supposed to take that? Are you questioning me? Are you telling me to leave? But really, I think we found that over time, and we know now that it's just people were curious, and people are still curious when they find out, oh, you're living here. Oh, okay. What brought you here? Why?
Yeah.
How do you like it? How are you finding it? How's your Danish? All of those questions that come with being new here. I think for the most part, we were treated pretty well.
Yeah, no complaints, truthfully.
Yeah. Well, question number 2, Mikey, was what challenges have you guys had when moving to Denmark or being new in Denmark? Yeah. And I said, these are again, other themes that a lot of foreigners have. The things that they miss the most are kind of the 4 F's: the food from back home, their friends, their family, and also just the familiarity. So I think there's just a degree of difficulty to living in Denmark and having to learn simple things again. The things that I learned in 30 some years living in the US, that I just accumulated all this knowledge of how things work and where to go for this and what to do for this, that you then have to relearn all in a very short period of time when you first move to Denmark or any country.
No, it's the same.
That's tough. And then add on top of that, having to make friends, build a network of people from scratch. For me, I had to find a job. That was tough. Learning the language and sort of those microcultural things that are a bit different.
Yeah. The first thing I wrote down on here was unwritten rules were hard. It's everything that you said on there, and that's one of the challenges. It's true everywhere, but I think in Denmark there's really a lot of unwritten rules to try to figure out. And since almost all of our initial friends were fellow expats, it was tough. We had to rely on maybe their experience because they'd been here a couple of years longer than us, or the poor couple Danes that were either boyfriends or girlfriends with some of the friends that we had. We'd use them as interpreters, or oh my God, I remember at work how many times I'd walk out of my office and say, "I need a Dane to help explain what the heck this letter I just got in my e-box means." It's all these things were really challenging to adjust to, and that's kind of the classic expat roller coaster. Is initially it's all super exciting and new and novel, and then suddenly it's the holy crap, how do I actually live here? How do I actually function here? Like, I'm past the tourist phase of living abroad. That was where the challenges really came, and it's all those little things. I mean, and I don't miss kind of that period in like months like 3, 4, 5, 6 when we actually had to figure out how to live here beyond just, oh my God, pretty buildings.
Yeah, the first 90 days it's all snaps and smoke, and then it's scat and figuring out how to convert your driver's license to an EU driver's license. Yeah, so
that was an adventure.
Yeah.
That could be an entire video by itself. Okay, the third question was, do you feel that you were treated differently than the Danes? And the answer on this one is Yes, obviously we were treated very well, we were treated very positively, but kind of going off of the previous question about the challenges, one of the hard things is especially when we had to work with people that are in functions that aren't, say, tourist facing or foreigner facing. We're talking about like banks or borger service or things like that. We could tell that we were just annoying. And it's because rather than a normal Dane coming in that just says, oh, transaction, do this, do this, do this, we had to be treated like we're 5 years old to have everything explained to us. And again, people were comfortable being in English. It wasn't that being the barrier. It's that they had to explain something that they hadn't really thought about, like how do you get a driver's license or how do you register a new address or all these things that happen are difficult. So I think that was one of the things that made us feel like we were annoying people, and we got maybe a little bit shorter service because when somebody's just doing their day of having to face customers or clients the whole time, we were the annoying ones in the middle, and they just couldn't wait for the next coffee break or the end of the day.
I definitely felt like we got pushed off a lot when we would call certain places in the beginning, or they would just like pick our Danish apart, like to a level where it felt like they knew it. They were just jabbing us a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like were we treated differently? Yes, sometimes fairly, sometimes unfairly. Many things just kind of seemed arbitrary in the treatment that we got, and even when we tried to do things that I think me especially, like with finding a job, in coming from the U.S., we have a different history than Denmark, especially with immigration and discrimination, and not just discrimination of immigrants, but people based on race. And, there's a lot of protections in place when you're talking about employment or housing or different rights that are just in place in the U.S. And it's illegal to discriminate on. You can't even put somebody's photo on their CV, for example, in the U.S. And so when I was putting my CV together in Denmark, it felt a little bit odd to have that. And sometimes even they'll blot out the names so that you don't know if it's a male or a female or the ethnic origin maybe of the name on a CV in America. And here it's just like right out there. So I sometimes think if I went to Aarhus University instead of Cabrini University in Pennsylvania, that I might be treated differently. Or if my name was Johnny Smurville instead of Derek, then I had a Danish name, maybe I would be treated differently.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's why I didn't get certain jobs, but I can say that you don't worry about those things in the U.S. and it's always kind of in the back of your head here as an immigrant.
Definitely. Would you say there was a little bit of a wall in that way?
Sometimes you wonder if there's a wall between you and the dominant society.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the fourth question. What do you think the state can do to make immigrants feel integrated into Danish society? The big I word. Okay, so for integration, I would say it's not really the state's job, in my opinion. I think, the only thing that the state should be doing or the government should be doing is abandoning policies that are designed to make life harder for immigrants, and that does happen. I think that... when it comes to the government, you have new policies changing from one government to the next, and they just seem to, at least in the last governments, just get harder for non-Danes to live here. And even for Danes that are married to foreigners, they have to have like a ridiculous bond and just keep it in their account or give it to the state. I'm not sure all the details, but it ends up like separating families and things like that. And it's just messy. And I think that the Danish people that we've met since we've lived here, like, I don't know what voters they're trying to appeal to with that, because the people that I've met here would not be treating foreigners that way.
No, I fully agree. The first thing I wrote is the same exact thing, that the best thing that the state can do is get out of the way. I think there's a perception that I think we feel here that Danish politicians think that they can legislate or have government policies lead to integration. And the truth is, it's going to be culture and society that leads to integration. I mean, just here in Copenhagen, if you look at school-age kids walking around, if you see the mix of ethnicities and colors and backgrounds, you wouldn't think that there's an integration problem. You see all kinds
and in Jutland, when we visit,
we've been in Vejle, we've been in Aalborg.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere. It's not even a Copenhagen thing.
Yeah.
I think you can see that integration is already happening where it should, which is from the bottom up, from the level of kids learning. And obviously there's things that happen in society as people grow up into young adults and adults that change that. But I think that's a key message on here is to maybe get out of the way and let society go where it needs to go. I think the other point I wrote down is that integration is a two-way street. I think Danish society, like all societies, has always been evolving. It's only a few hundred years ago that all the Danish elites spoke German, not Danish. Danish was a peasant language, not for the elites.
Really pulling out the Danish history.
I know. I like pulling out some Danish history with this. But I think it's an important thing with that is that it's always going to be evolving. It's always going to be changing based on the fact that Denmark is in and of the world and not by itself. And at the same time, integration is a two-way street, meaning that, sure, people that move here need to be willing to receive into the culture and find a way to acclimate into the culture. But also those that are here need to be willing to reach out as well. And the same way that there's no problem going to get some shawarma late at night, you can also treat people similarly in that way, as we've already embraced parts of that culture. And maybe it's a little bit of an American mindset that we're bringing here, but it's maybe not wrong, because in America, anybody can be American. It basically means, come watch fireworks on the 4th of July and football on Sundays and you're American. I think Danish culture is strong and robust enough to be willing to maybe lend a hand out a little bit as well. And then the last question was kind of a free-for-all. It was, is there anything else that we want to share? And I think probably the most important thing, at least from us, is to realize that we come from a position of privilege. I mean, we came here as native English speakers. We came here with a job and with a company that was willing to invest in supporting our relocation and helping us navigate these different things. So as we talk through this, in some ways, our experience is a bit atypical, and we need to realize we have that privilege because others come here and have to navigate this in much more challenging ways than we have.
Yeah, and for some people, the concept of even having a country to go home to doesn't exist at all, and we are super fortunate that based on our background and what brought us here and what we have left in the U.S. and the terms in which we came here are very different. So thank you, girls, for asking us for our help, and we're super glad that we were able to participate in your assignment. But at the same time, we want you to also know that there are many people that don't have it quite like us, but we're happy that we were able to share this with you.
Of course.
And another thing I wanted to share is what we looked like when we were in high school. So thank you to our moms for giving us these pictures.
I was such a nerd.
Yeah. Well, me too. And thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you can get all the content that we put out. Usually we drop videos on Thursdays, so smash that bell so you can get notified when we have new videos come out then. And thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.